this video is going to be about polarity. So as above, so below, and also like the Hermetic principle of polarity, or the Hermetic law of polarity and shit. Right. So the duality of man, right, as above, so below. Basically, it talks about how like you are a reflection of everything around you, right? Now, if I wanted to become like a happier person, am I giving happiness? Am I being a more happy person to like everybody around me? Am I giving more value to everybody around me? If I wanted to be a more energetic, more valuable person, am I giving value to other people? Am I giving energy to other people? Now, I'm not saying that in terms of like, am I giving all of my energy to other people? But am I making other people feel seen and important? Right? And that'll be reflected back to me simply because I am that thing. I am that person. Right? When you have the phenomenon of you see somebody and you begin to talk and you feel like you were connected to this person even before you saw them. Like even before y'all met, you feel like you knew that person like prior to the interaction. That's because you have a certain level of degree of relatability to that person, right? And that relatability comes from within. You only see what you are in that person. Your frequency is being reflected during that conversation, and the frequency that's a match to your frequency, like the closest frequency that's a match to yours, you're going to feel related to that person, right? This is why you can fuck with somebody. This is why you can fuck with somebody years ago, but now you can't fuck with them anymore because your frequency is different. You're a different person, right? You probably change beliefs. You probably change your thought patterns on certain shit. You don't look at the same things the same way because you have a different frequency, right? Now, the duality of man talks about how there's corresponding aspects of an individual, whether it be good, bad, sad, happy. These are when you talk about polarity, people talk about them as like two separate different things, but they're the same thing, just at different degrees, just at different rates of vibrations, right? So you have to think about it like this. If you look at a zodiac chart with like all the zodiac signs and shit, it's a circle. It's not a linear chart. It was never portrayed as a linear chart. It's always a circle, right? A 300-degree circle. Now, if you take a sign, if you take two signs, right? So let's say Taurus and Scorpio. These two signs are aspecting each other directly 180 degrees directly across from each other. Now, if you read the fucking description of these two zodiac signs, they're a direct opposite correlation to each other. Why is that? Because the same duality, right? Yin and yang, the same duality and polarity are of those signs in that particular energy. So you have to treat your life, you have to think about your life the same way. Now, if I'm a fucking sad ass, introverted ass nigga, depressed ass nigga, and I wanted to be a more happy person, what would I have to do? I have to, one, get out of that mindset of being an introverted, depressed ass nigga. And I have to increase my light and have to give my light to other people. I have to be more interested in other people for them to have a conversation with me, right? If you don't feel heard, you should use a technique called mirroring, right? There's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? In the book, it talks about it's a technique called mirroring, and this is why it's so effective. Because when you mirror somebody in a conversation, you're repeating the last thing that they said and just repeating it back to them, right? Simple as fuck. But the effectiveness of this technique will continue the conversation infinite amounts of times, bro. Simply because you're making them feel heard, and they're going to want to reciprocate that same behavior to you, right? And this is how you become a more interesting person. This is how you become like a more charismatic person, right? You have to diligently and have a calculated way of giving out your energy to have that reflected back to you. So when you're trying to like manifest or materialize something in your life, you have to start from a neutral standpoint and understand like nothing is ever outside of you. Everything comes from within. Everything is a reflection from within, right? The universe wants to reflect exactly what you are, wants to give you more of what you are, right? Nothing is ever outside of you. You are what you see. Your frequency is just your ability to see certain shit. So if I tune my frequency to see abundance, if I see happiness, if I see me being confident, that's going to be reflected. If I see that in myself first, if I give that to myself first, that's going to be reflected in my reality. And people are going to start showing me that I am abundant, that I am happy, that I am confident, that I'm a person of value, because I've given that to myself first. I became a person of value. I've become a more happy person. I've become a more abundant person. And this is how you get rid. This is how you elevate your life, because you're not attached to these negative aspects of yourself, right? When people get stuck, they're reliving the same fucking thing over and over again. They're reliving the same situation over and over again. That's how they get stuck in these negative vibrations. It's because they keep reliving it over and over again, right? And technique that I like to do, and like other people like to do, is if you have a negative situation that you don't like and you are constantly replaying it over and over again, replay it, right? And pay attention to what emotion you're feeling when you replay that scenario, right? And you have to manipulate the situation in your mind as if it went positively, right? And you keep replaying that over and over again till you feel positive about the situation that happened. And over time, you feel like literally that shit never happened to you, bro. Like, it's weird as fuck. Like, there's a bunch of stuff in my life to where I used to victimize myself of that situation, and I stopped victimizing myself, and I felt more positively about that situation. And now I don't even feel like that shit happened. I feel like a totally, completely different person because I feel like that shit never happened, nigga. Oh God, like, you really have to do this shit yourself. This is why you have to meditate. You have to be in tune with yourself in order to even see or feel what's bringing you down, what's holding you back. So in the Hermetic principles, there's a law called the law of polarity, right? So like I said earlier, as above, so below. Now, if you take the universe, like literally the actual like fucking universe, of like planets, all that shit. If you look at the universe, people say it's like ever expanding, it's infinite, whatever, right? Now, if the same universe got caught on like this one specific solar system, and it was just so infatuated with the solar system, it was so beautiful, it had all these things, and it stopped its creation after that fucking universe, it stops its growth, right? And it's forever going to be under the limitation of that universe, right? So it's the same way with your fucking mind, because our mind is just a reflection of the fucking universe, bro. It's infinite. This is why you can dream and fucking not be confined to time, not be confined to gravity. You could do whatever the fuck you want to do because it's a direct reflection of the fucking universe. Now, as above, so below. The 3D physical plane is just a mental reflection of the mental fucking plane. This is why all this shit is fucking delayed, bro. Like, you have to create it first in your mind. You have to create heaven in your mind for it to be created on fucking earth, right? But people, they don't stick long enough with their manifestations. They don't stick long enough with their frequency for it to even materialize, right? Like, if I did a certain set of actions, right? If I was trying to be a more financially abundant person, if I did the actions, if I was trying to make all this money, but I never internally became a fucking financially more abundant person, I will never ever in my fucking life become a more financially abundant person, simply because I haven't given that to myself first. And my 3D reality will never reflect that, because I am not that fucking person. It's the same way. You gotta treat all this shit the same exact fucking way. So talking about how the Holy Spirit, the God energy, the creator energy, it's impersonal, meaning it doesn't give a fuck who you are. It's going to treat you the same way as everybody else, right? So Scenario, let's say I threw a fucking baby off a 30-story floor. The baby jumped off a 30-story floor. 30-story building. And it hit the ground and died. Splattered everywhere, nigga. If a serial killer jumped off the same fucking building, he's gonna reach the same fucking fate as that baby. Now, the baby could have been the most purest fucking baby on planet Earth. And the serial killer could have been the worst fucking serial killer on fucking planet Earth. They're going to get treated the same way because gravity as a law, gravity as a phenomenon is an impersonal energy. Electricity is an impersonal energy. If I went to a fucking light pole and I touched the light pole and it shocked my ass to death, it doesn't give a fuck if I was fucking Gandhi in my fucking life. It doesn't care if I killed 1 million people. I'm gonna reach the same fate because electricity is an impersonal energy. That's the same way God, the Holy Spirit, the creator energy within us is treated, right? It's from a neutral aspect. This is why it's important to be detached from your wants and ambitions. It's an impersonal energy. Now, utilizing that impersonal energy, if you use it from a neutral standpoint, you get to influence the positivity. You get to influence the positive aspects of that situation, right? But we're taught and we're conditioned to treat everything as negative because our ego wants to protect us. But the crazy thing is, you can get your ego to be on your side positively. You have to you can train your ego to be positive instead of negative, but we're just conditioned to be negative like 24/7 because that's how we were grown up, or at least the majority of us, that's how we were grown up, to be negative in order to protect us, like in society. But the Holy Spirit, Christ energy is impersonal. It doesn't give a fuck who the fuck you are. It's going to treat you the same way. So this is why you have to be a different reflection. You have to be a different person in order to influence the reflection on the outside, on the material, on the 3D physical plane. You have to literally be a different person internally, and it'll be reflected in other people, in other situations.